Hi everybody, my name is Trudy and I'm here with Nick and we're going to do kind of a get to know you interview. We've been talking about it some on Facebook and we've had a lot of
Yeah.
questions submitted, so thank you so much for that. I'm really excited about doing it, so I'm just to get kind of some things that I don't even know, and you guys asked a lot of really good questions, so I'm excited to get started. So first thing we were just going to talk about is how you're handling the quarantine.
I love it. If I was a millionaire, I could go months at a time and never leave home. I love it.
Well, you still get to go to work,
I could still stay home.
which is good.
Yeah, but I love it. I could stay home all the time.
Yeah,
You know that.
we're kind of homebodies. I don't mind staying home either.
Yeah.
So we've had a couple questions. So what do? You do work outside of
Yeah, I still
music?
work outside of playing music. Well, most of us do. We're real fortunate. We'll play 50 or 60 days on the road a year, which is still pretty good. Sometimes it's a little more, sometimes a little less. But I keep a day job, just for such things. I'm what's known as a vendor. I go in and out of grocery stores and convenience stores and deliver stuff in there for you people to eat. I'm one of the necessary people that.
Oh, you're essential.
I'm essential. I got to go out here and keep working.
That's good.
Which is good.
Yeah, that's a blessing for sure. So we've had a lot of questions specifically towards your mandolin playing and the mandolins you like and strings and all this. And it was so many that we decided to do a whole separate video just focusing on your mandolins, because people want to see kind of what mandolins you have and the backstory and stuff. But touching on that, so we did have a question. Why did you choose the mandolin? Did you choose the mandolin?
I did choose the mandolin. I just loved it. There was a bluegrass festival in Madison County, North Carolina, at Zeno Ponder's farm. Had right around 1977, 78, and we'd won tickets off the radio. My brothers, like I am, we were kind of buffs with this music, and it was like answering trivia questions. And I saw Bill Monroe was there, and I saw the Country Gentleman there. And I'd never seen like an F-style mandolin before. I'd seen the A-styles and stuff, with a round hole in the middle. And I saw that, and I thought, well, that's neat. I think I could do that. I could play it. I loved the way it sounded, and it was the look that attracted me. I love the way the F5s look.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah.
Do they sound different than an A?
Yeah, they do, because the A models have a round hole, kind of like a guitar, and the F style like I play has the F holes, and it just makes it louder, makes it project more, and it's a little bit harder tone, and the round hole's a little bit sweeter. I like that more projecting sound. Yeah.
Okay.
I love it.
So now you said your brother. Now, did your family, are they musical?
Everybody in my family plays. We grew up in a very musical family. Me and my brother, of course, are the only two that went on to play on the road and be in bands that are fortunate enough to travel and play and make somewhat of a living at this. My brother played with the Primitive Quartet out there, for any of y'all who know who that is. Played with them for about 15 years, and I got to meet a lot of my heroes and be around a lot of other people, and got to know them. But yeah, my whole family was musical. We just, that was our Fridays and Saturdays. We'd go somewhere and play. That was it.
Yeah, and this region is really big for that, especially back in the olden days. I mean, you didn't do anything else but go to shows or go to jams or something.
Right, and our region is still real thick with talent. I mean, just in a 40-mile radius, you got us, of course, but on a smaller stage of it. But you have Balsam Range, it's from Haywood County. You've got Carolina Blue from Transylvania County. You also have Steep Canyon Rangers from Transylvania County, Brevard. And I played with Bobby Hicks for about 6 years, and he just lives right down the road, where I grew up in Marshall, North Carolina. So there's a lot of people around here that's, pretty famous.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so what were your musical influences?
My musical influences, well, I have a lot outside of bluegrass. Growing up, my dad grew up old school, Bill Monroe, Jim and Jesse. I like those guys' mandolin styles. Of course, Bill's the king, but I was always drawn to more of Bobby Osborne style, more of a fiddle style. He was a hero of mine. Red Rector, who I am distantly related to, was another one. He played the round hole mandolin, but he was such a fine player and played more of a fiddle style, is what I'd call it. And then, the older I got, up 9 and 10-year-old range, I learned about the Rounder 44 album that had Ricky Skaggs on it. My uncle had that, and he would let me borrow it every now and again. And then later on, I got into Sam Bush and Doyle Lawson, and was fortunate enough I played bass with Herschel Sizemore for about a year.
Mm-hmm.
Got to be around him. He's one of the greats. But I listen to all kinds of music. I listen from everything from bluegrass to classic country all the way up to I pretty much stopped listening to country in the 90s. That's kind of where my deadline is. I like that, and classic rock, love classic rock, 50s music.
That was another question that someone had is, do you like any other types of music?
Oh yeah, I love classic rock, 70s, 80s, early 90s. I like classic rock. Oh yeah, I love it. I like the old doo-wop stuff, I like that kind of stuff. A lot of my harmonies come from those kind of thoughts, and I love gospel music, of course. I was fortunate enough to be around a lot of the great Southern gospel acts, the Cathedrals, Kingsmen. I actually got to be in a recording studio in time when my brother was doing session work with the Kingsmen, and it was amazing to watch how those guys would walk in the studio and they would do it, and that's how it was done, and it was over. Yeah, I've had a lot of, I got a lot of, I draw from a lot of different wells.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, yeah.
So do you like to play other instruments? And can you play other instruments?
I can play other instruments. I'm a pretty good guitar player. I've never officially owned a guitar, but I'm a pretty good guitar player. For some reason, most mandolin players can play guitar. I'm a pretty good stand-up bass player. I can play the banjo a little bit. I know where the notes are at. I can't work the hand. One of my favorite instruments that I tried, I just could not get it, was the steel guitar. Love it. But I couldn't get my knees and my feet to work right on, But mandolin, I I grew up, me and all my friends, I like the mandolin. I'm a mandolin player. I play the mandolin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, do you like to play any other kind of music? I mean, I don't know how hard that is with mandolin, but...
Believe it or not, I have actually played on a couple of rock albums with the mandolin. It was like Smoke on the Water and those things.
Yeah.
And they would do it with bluegrass instrumentation. The guy that hired me for the session was... his name was Barney Barnwell. He had a group that traveled colleges down in South Carolina, and he was also on the Moonshiner show. He's down around Campobella, South Carolina. Yeah, I played with him down there. And in the in the 80s, I had a Mandocaster, and I know how to play a lot of those old rock songs, and
That's cool.
I'd go sit in with a couple of rock bands with it. Yeah, it's fun.
So, we had another question of your favorite concert you ever attended, bluegrass or otherwise.
Favorite concert I ever attended? I have three. That are all equal.
Okay.
One was the first time I got to see the Bluegrass Album Band live at Denton.
Mm-hmm.
The next was the first time I got to see Tony Rice the same year at Denton, because I'd never seen anything like that before. I'd seen the first generation players a lot, but I'd never seen like the second generation guys at their peak, and I got to see those guys at their peak.
Mm-hmm. And
I guess the one that really struck me being a mandolinist is the first time I got to hang out with Doyle. He had just put out an album, Beyond the Shadows, with Russell Moore and Scott Vestal and Curtis Vestal, and Russell and Scott and those guys were living around Asheville at the time, so I kind of got to know them.
Mm-hmm.
At their time here before they went with Doyle. And we were at a TV taping in Greenville, South Carolina. The Primitives had a TV show, and it amazed me. And it wasn't really a concert per se, but it amazed me how, what you heard on the record, that of course they would lip sync to it. That's the only way you could do it.
Right.
But it was exact. When they would sing it live, but it was exact with the music queued up. It was, and that was kind of a turning point, saying, this ain't all tricks and magic. These guys stand here and they do it. They stand here and they do it. And it was, that was a surreal moment,
So, are there any bluegrass groups you wish you had been able to see, alive or dead? Are there any groups you wish you saw or could?
Yeah, I would like to have seen Jim and Jesse back in the day with Alan Shelton with those sessions. I'd like to see the original bluegrass band, Bill Monroe, Earl and Lester. I'd like to see the Foggy Mountain Boys, original Country Gentlemen. I'd love to have seen the original Country Gentlemen. I was a big fan of those guys. Osborne Brothers back in Up This Hill and Down age.
Yeah.
J.D. Cronin New South with Tony Rice, Ricky Skaggs, that conglomerate. And believe it or not, I've never seen the original Doyle Lawson and Quicksilver. I didn't even get to see him with Randy Graham. The first time I ever saw him was with Russell and Scott Vestal.
Okay, and that's the one that you really enjoy them. So seeing them live
Uh,
would be nice, but
Yeah, it would be nice, and hopefully I'll get to one day. You
yeah,
know? Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so we did have someone ask. Her name is Paulette. I said I wouldn't tell her last name, but what's the best advice or tips you've ever gotten about music? The best advice or any tips that you've gotten along the way?
The best advice I've ever gotten along the way is practice, practice, practice. We all practice. You can ask anybody that's ever played in my groups. I'm a rehearsal guy. You know, you can ask the guys that are in the band now. And keep it simple. You know, I can play a million notes, but I try to play the melody with just a little something into it. I try to tailor my breaks. You know, play the melody. Good time and melody, you know, be in tune. You know, if you love it so much that you want to take it up and play it, and it's your craft, let it be your craft.
Yeah.
You know, study it, make it as good as you can, and that's the best advice. But practice is number one.
That seems like something small, like be in tune. You'd think that that would be first on everyone's list, but maybe it's not.
Well, let me refine it. Be in tune together.
No,
yeah, be in
mean.
tune together. You know, because I've seen a lot of fine players at the festivals we play, and they sound, you know, they got a good band, and you know they're rehearsed, but you know, the guys won't be in tune together, and it just kind of distracts. You know, I'm real stickler for when I see it. I know it's a live situation, even when I pay money to see bands. You know, I want it to be as good as it can be. I want it to be as close to what it can be as it can be, you know. And you can tell, if you're not rehearsed and you walk up on that stage, you can tell it.
Yeah.
You know, if you make a mistake and y'all make it together, you're rehearsed. That means you're doing
Oh,
the job.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So we did have another, his name was John, and he asked what your favorite new or recent bluegrass band, because anybody who knows you knows that you're steeped in kind of
I'm
not super all the way beginnings, but you know, a little older when it comes to music. So do you have any new, or I have heard you talk about a couple bands that you really like their singing and you really like them, but I of course can't remember who any of them are.
I'll tell you a band that came down the pike. They don't play anymore, but was one of my favorite groups was the Chapmans. I love the Chapmans. I thought they were so good. Blue Moon Rising, I really enjoy.
Yeah, maybe that's who.
I really enjoy Blue Moon Rising. Those guys, you know, they're really good. And of course, Carolina Blue. My buddies, Carolina Blue. You know, those guys, when they write a song or they play and sing, you know, everything that I just said, that's what they do.
That's
and
true.
it's really enjoyable. But there's so many out there that I like. But they've been around for a little while. You know, I like what I like, and you know, it's kind of how I am. You know,
would you consider yourself a traditionalist?
I would consider myself a traditionalist in the sense that, you know, I have a certain style in my head, you know, that I like to play. I think you can take any song and make it traditional sounding.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think you can take a lot of songs, like I've taken a lot of songs from other genres, and people would come up to me and ask me where I got the song, and I'll tell them. They're like, well, there's no way you got that song from there because it sounds like it's, you know, was cut back in the 40s and 50s.
Right.
You know, but that's, I like the way the older stuff sounds to me.
Okay.
But you can play the older stuff and be, you know, be traditional with it. You know, do new songs.
That's true. Okay, so speaking of Carolina Blue, I wasn't supposed to say who this was. I'm not saying who this was yet, but I have a question from one of those folks, and that is, what do you wear on your head when you're playing? Not what brand is that? Is it a flower pot, a colander, a waste paper basket? Signed, someone whose band does not wear hats. That is just a joke, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do have a lot of questions about our hat.
Well, I'll tell you about my hat. The way the hat come about was I fought tooth and nail to wear a hat. But, you know, the older I get, my wife was suggesting, you know, instead of worrying about certain things, get you a hat. So we got one. And for guys who are follically challenged, the hat has saved me.
And you don't even have to get haircuts or brush your hair. You just put the hat on. It's super convenient.
Just put the hat on and go, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really funny. All right, so let's see. Okay, so more towards like your band now, Nick Chandler Delivered. What type of sound do you try to create? Like, is it a specific type of sound, or is it just?
It's not really a specific type of sound. It's more of I'll find a song that I think suits how I play. Because, you know, I can't play the way I hear music and the way I play music. I can't play the Alison Krauss Lonesome River Band style. That's a different style of music that those guys are perfected and they're great at it. I can't play like, you know, Tony Rice and those guys. I can mimic the breaks on the albums, but, you know, it's just not really what I hear. I just try to find a song that sounds like how I play and how I sing and how I think about music, bring it to the guys, and we put it together, and I'll have an arrangement on it, and if it works, it works. If it don't, it goes in the wastebasket. You know, there's more songs that I have quit doing because I couldn't represent them in the way I wanted to than what I've ever recorded. And I've got 7 CDs now, so that should tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this next couple questions are from me, but it's more about wanting to talk about the new album. So the new album, Inside the Lines, is set to be released soon. We'll see.
Yeah.
We finished it, thank goodness, before we went on lockdown, so that was a
big shout out to Eddie Swan. We were the last person that he allowed in his recording studio, so we could finish up the mixing on this song, on this whole album. So thank you, big shout out to him.
Yeah,
it's done. We're just waiting on it to release it.
Yeah. So tell me about the album. What's your thoughts about it? What do you think?
You know, I'm proud of it. You know, I always try to make this album better than the last and last one better and so on and so forth. You know, song selection on it's real good. You know, I like to let the guys in my band sing. You know, I consider myself a mandolin player who can sing, not a singer who plays the mandolin. And all the other guys, you know, got Gary Trivet in there on bass. Gary's a fine songwriter, fine singer. Hudson Bosworth, who is he's from Utah, but really fits in really nice. Great harmony singer, great guitar player. I let him play, and he sings probably my favorite lyrical song on the whole album, or close to it. It just, you know, when I heard the song, it made me think of, you know, me and my son growing up, him growing up. And Spencer Hatcher, who goes to ETSU along with Hudson. He's got a different voice. He came in and tried out for tenor and playing the banjo, and he's like, well, I can't sing that high, but I've got a pretty good, you know, falsetto. He does have a good falsetto. For anybody who's tried to sing a falsetto, it's not easy, and he makes it work, makes it blend, and then he can go down and sing a good rich baritone lead on something. So I'm pretty proud of it. The songs are good. They're all traditional sounding. You know, we've had success already with one of the singles, Big Bill Johnson, which is the first bluegrass song I ever wrote. I've wrote a ton of gospel. It's done real good. Our video's really done good. And already, you know, went up the charts with it. It's done pretty good, but I'm proud of it. I've got, I think I wrote 3 cuts. Gary wrote 1. I got a couple other songwriters that we used, that sent us songs that we used. And then, you know, I like to go back. I like to put something from back in the day on there, you know, if I can. So I'll go back and find 1 or 2 old ones that's kind of obscured and make them my own, you know, brush them up a little bit. Maybe if a banjo kicks it, the mandolin will kick it, or whatever, you know, we'll try to change it around just a little bit to make it our own, but not to take away from it.
So we can look forward to original songs, and then maybe a few
just one
from the way backs. There's a lot of original on there.
A lot of original. I've got some stuff that, you know, people might recognize. I don't know. You know, like I say, I have different tastes in music and different things I like, or, you know, songs that people have forgotten about that are, you know, I have a 30-year rule. I never will even attempt to record another song that anybody else has ever done unless it's 30 years or older. Because, you know, if somebody's just cut a song the last 10 years, well, those guys are still out there playing on that song for the most part. And, you know, whoever gets the first cut usually has the best cut on it.
Agreed.
So I have a 30-year rule. If I do something from the way back, it's got to be at least 30 years or older.
Okay. So tell us about the title of the album, because normally we kind of do maybe a song title or whatever, like the single would be the title, but you went a different way, it seems.
Well, Inside the Lines, me and you, of course, talked about it. You know, I consider myself a traditionalist in the sense that, you know, I like the way the traditional style is, but I won't necessarily do, you know, you're not going to hear Blue Ridge Cabin Home on my shows. And you know, when we were meeting with the record label, you know, you told those guys, you know, Nick is one of these guys that he's got this little box that he likes, and he'll push the lines, but he will never go outside the lines. And I think you're the one that actually kind of came up with that title, and I liked it. And
Yeah, that's true. I was looking at album covers just for ideas for artwork and names and stuff, and everything you can see is outside the lines, or
yeah,
you know, like they're breaking rules or
yeah,
breaking through barriers, and I'm like, well, there needs to be one that's inside the
Yeah.
lines, because Nick's not breaking any rules.
No, I mean,
You're following the rules.
no,
Your rules as
it's
rigidly.
it's my rules pretty rigidly. I mean, like I say, you want, I'll go out and do a song, you know, that might be from another genre, as long as I can make it sound traditional, or in that vein at least, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so, all right, another question. Speaking of the record label, so yes, you guys are on 615 Hideaway Records.
Yeah, 615.
And that's been really nice so far. How do you like working with Sammy Casamano III?
I really enjoy working with Sammy, because when we talk, you know, we just talk. It's not like you know, I think we enjoy talking to each other. I enjoy talking to him, you know, it's like talking to you. And that's what I like. He's been very supportive.
Yeah.
You know, took a chance on us. You know, and it's working out good for both of us. And he had Audie Blaylock on his label, which I really liked, which I think Audie Blaylock's one of the finest singers out there. And he told us he had the Crow Brothers, which the Crow Brothers, they're in that 30-mile radius with those folks. They just live right over in Maggie Valley. I've always thought those guys' harmony is great. We've seen them a couple of times, and I mean, they're they're really good.
Yeah, their singing is great.
And he's got a couple other guys on there. I don't know if I'm allowed to say who it is yet, but you'll find out. Yeah, you'll find out.
All right, that pretty much is it. We've asked all the questions. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think that'll pretty well do it. You know.
I think we're going to have another opportunity to talk with Nick and all the guys in the band. Sammy was talking about it too. We're going to try to do kind of a thing online where we can have you guys calling in or signing on with us and asking questions that you want to ask right to us, even though we're going to be socially distanced. We'll still try to be together, and I'm really excited about that. So be on the lookout too. The new gospel single is going to be released in a couple weeks. I think we decided on April the 24th. It's a Friday.
Yeah, tentatively.
Yeah. So be on the lookout for that. But you'll have more. We'll have more stuff on that too. And then we're going to have another interview in a couple days with Gary. So it should be really exciting.
Yeah, Gary is a trip.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of questions for him too. So I'm excited to talk to Gary.
And if y'all have questions about what kind of gear we use, I'm astonished that people want to know what kind of picks we use and what kind of strings we use, and you know, like the instruments that I play. If you have any questions or just anything, just bring it on down. We'll be glad to tell you all we can.
Yeah.
All
right. Well, thank you guys so much, and thanks for sending your questions. We really appreciate it, and we'll be on and see you guys soon. I hope you guys are doing well. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.